Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
Hi, guys.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Oh,
Okay.
who's that
Feeling
dance
house
music
music?
right
House
here?
music.
Yeah, gotta get pumped now.
Uh,
Hi, everybody.
Just give it
All
a few
right.
more
It's
minutes.
Friday. Yeah, I know.
People are still waking up, It's Friday and it's like they tend to wake up
Well,
late.
and my crowd sort of stayed up late last night. We opened
Yeah,
up
you guys had a
our
party, no?
Bayside office, so we had a little get together. You can hear in my
Congratulations.
voice like talking a lot and
yeah.
speaking over the other crowd. So it's like,
It was nice though. We had a really good crowd, over 20 or 30
yeah,
people there. It was amazing. Good food.
yeah,
Congratulations for Bayside area to opening up their office there. It's a nice office, a very great location, right on the boulevard.
yeah,
So definitely congratulate them for even doing it. So
yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
congratulations.
That's good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we had plenty of agents from pretty much from all over. Many different. Yeah, I think it didn't matter where they were from. We just got together, so people didn't
right,
see one another in 10 years and stuff. That was kind of cool to see
yeah,
agents
which
finding
was
themselves back.
interesting. It was
I
from some
found some
people.
people. I didn't even remember them from 20 years ago, like some mortgage guy,
Wow.
Gigi. I'm like, oh, hi. Yeah, that's cool. That was cool. Yeah, it was really nice. So it's
That's
nice, and
great.
it looks like people want to come back out. It looks like people want to do things. We still have to drag you guys out a little bit, but it's okay. It looks like the
Gotta pull
crowd
people out of the
wants.
cave.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's scary, but it's I was talking earlier to Derek Horn, the president of Charter School. He does help us with a lot of C credits and stuff like that, and he's been super busy. He goes like you still feel like you have to drag everybody out, but it's good. People want to do things and network. There are plenty of network parties, which I think all of us should be like still aware, like, and look at the emails, answer a little bit, go find out who does what. I think is the best.
Take advantage because a lot of
Yeah,
these networking events, some of them have free CE. So you can't go wrong. Free CE
a free
courses.
CE. Sometimes they ask you like what you did at the last CE you did to participate on a panel. I was asked to participate on a panel of a network of professional. You never know, like explore, do stuff. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And
A
it
lot of
Get
certainly
people
helps
people.
with
can.
networking. I mean, yep,
Yeah.
definitely helps
I
with
was
networking, which is great.
I was added to a WhatsApp group yesterday called the Real Deal. It's a whole bunch of brokers and investors and contractors
Mm.
looking for off-market deals. I was like, this is cool. A lot of people that we all know in common are in there, and I'm like, like trying to keep it, not putting any BS or any political stuff in there. So it looks like everybody wants to do a little something, something. It's nice.
Listen,
Anyway,
the weather's getting better. The weather's
yeah,
getting better. People are
yeah,
going out there. You
yeah.
don't have to wear masks anymore. It's
I know.
gonna be
Well,
better.
if you don't
It's
want
gonna
to, you
be
don't have
better
to
this
wear
way.
that. So today's topic is actually we did a little survey yesterday, as you know, as we were preparing the stuff, and it's like we love. I think that the tie down technique, technique is still super relevant to this day, even though it's brought about, I guess, in the 70s or even before my time. But talking to a lot of agents, they really don't have any idea of what it is.
So if you're tuning in right now, we are curious to know, do you know what a tie down technique is in sales? Whether you're in real estate, whether you're selling
You're in
business
sales,
to
anything, a
business,
car.
Right.
whether you're selling yourself to your spouse, listen, what are these tie down techniques? So if you know what it means, if you know of a few, throw it in the chat. We love to conversate with you folks, kind of brainstorm, see how
Yeah.
we can get these
Yep.
people to sign on the dotted line, okay?
Remember, yeah, and it's not a rope that you know how to tie and put into a knot. It's really just words that actually helps you to engage with the person, see if they're listening to you, see if you're able to actually continue the conversation. It's actually really good support and technique to use. So I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to it already.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank Ed for actually helping us a lot because we got super busy. Thank you for the nice slides. And yes, for those who want, and I'm gonna put our little thing on the ticker here. I've had a few people asking if sometimes they can get a hold of the material. Some people like to keep slides just as references. I have a few agents. With your permission, Ed, if it's okay, they can add in the comment, and we'll definitely can send them.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
For a small fee of $10.99, we could. No, I'm kidding.
Just for shipping, with shipping and
I'm kidding.
handling. Yeah.
Which you could usually these slides are about $100 a pop, but for those of you who are tuning in, we have a special discount for just 3 easy payments of $25.99. All right,
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
God.
kidding, but definitely reach out to us. We'll get you these slides. Again, we're firm believers in sharing ideas and helping each other out, because we are in an interesting industry. We know we're in business by ourselves, but we don't want you to feel like you're by yourself. All right.
Right.
So if you need some information, reach out. We'll be more than happy to share.
Right. And
So
I
should
think
we kick it off?
let's kick it off because I think like skills more than ever, this is post-COVID era. You need to go back to having sales skills. We're in the sales business. We're not secret agent. Let's brush on those. And this is like, I'm really glad that I have my compadres here who are just like, feel like
Hey,
me, like we just need to sharpen our tools like every single day. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
let's make it happen. Do you guys like
Yeah.
this view or this view?
Oh, this
This
is
is
cool. The
fine
one on
for
the
me.
side. Yeah.
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 So using tie downs to close more sales. How many of you folks, by show of hands, comment in the chat box, how many of you guys feel like you're not getting to close out the deal? You're in a listing appointment, you're on a buyer's appointment, you're trying to close it in. How many of you folks feel like you're having some trouble going through that process? I know I did in the beginning, right? I don't know about you guys. Gigi's been a professional my entire life, and then Israel as well. So I don't know if you guys ever suffered from that, from the
You
what I
know,
would call the constant vomit of sales, right? We're just talking, and we're not really acknowledging what
engaging, we're not
yeah,
acknowledging. Yeah.
yeah. So
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure we have some people who want to comment, and but they actually can't. It's called, paralysis. Like they can't use
yeah,
their hands.
the lip
I'm sure he
quiver,
will.
lip quiver. I want to say
It's
something,
I'm sure he will.
okay.
but
It's okay.
All right.
so we'll
So
jump right into this.
I
Give me a
found
second.
out that a lot of people don't either know what tie down is or they don't realize they're using it. And if they do it, it's not intentional. So my whole motto this year was be more intentional with your business, like on anything you're gonna do, like your prospecting techniques, your presentation technique skills, your prospecting, everything should be more intentional. So this is like really important topic for us to just get on today. You're going to be intentional
Right.
about your questions. You're going to be able to bring that buyer or that seller back to you with certain type of questions. All right.
So what are
Let's get
sales
into it.
tie downs?
Yeah.
What are sales tie downs, right? So ideally what it is a customer insight. We're basically trying to temperature check. We're not just going into, hey, look, this is your property, this is what it's valued at. We're not going to just go right into it and try to talk them into signing on the dotted line. Ideally, we need to see where their head's at.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you want to do is kind of make sure that you're asking or you have breaking points in between your sales pitch or sales presentation to make sure that what you're saying is actually sticking or that the client is engaged to what you're talking about. All right. So what this says here is customer insight and responses are key when knowing how your sales pitch is landing. Without any response from the customer, you don't know, one, if you're doing a good job and your points are resonating,
Yeah.
2, if the prospect understands the value of what you are selling. 3, whether or not you need to change your approach to better reach them. And 4, when the appropriate time is to close the deal. All right. So this is basically how you want to utilize the tie downs. All right. And we're kind of going to fly right through this, I think.
I wanted
But
to add, we as an industry, as a lot of us agents have not been trained enough to listen, and we've all been guilty of talking way too much. Like for somebody like me who loves to talk, if you tend to just like keep on yakking away and you lose the people. You know, it's not about us real estate agents, it's about our client. You know, the
correct.
number one important thing is for us to just render a service for our clients. So we need to find out, you know, okay, we're going to present our value and stuff like that, but let's see if the client is on board with it. Let's make sure they
Yeah.
don't have additional questions. Let's make sure there are no any holdbacks. Yeah. So let's go for it. Let's
Yeah,
read
so
that.
I know we had a couple of articles that we went off of, but one thing I did want to mention for this particular side is at the end of the day, using sales tie downs, it allows you to check your assumptions, right? So the conversation that you're having with your potential prospect, you're once again temperature checking them. You're also getting them to engage, and the key here is to get them to start saying yes. All right. I remember hearing in sales that if you start to ask a couple of questions through your presentation, that naturally gravitates to the buyer, seller, or whoever the customer or client is to say yes as a response. You're getting them in the flow of agreeing with you. All right. If you get 3 yeses back to back, ideally they're engaged. They have an interest of what you're trying to pitch. And ultimately, if everything works out well, they're going to say yes to closing out the deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
So here we
move
go.
on.
So here are a few great sales tie downs that you can sprinkle, like the Salt Babe, into your presentation or conversation with your prospects.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this last time, right? And to your point, Gigi, I think you're right. Sometimes we use tie downs without even knowing what we're doing, right? Because how many of us go through a listing presentation, and as we're going through the numbers, and ideally, in my opinion, when you're presenting numbers to someone, you can easily lose them. Okay.
Yeah.
So one good thing to go back to is, hey, do you know what I mean? Right? Does that make sense to you? I'm going over the absorption rate in the field. I'm going over how long it takes ideally to sell this property in your market. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I mean? Right? Some of
Yeah.
the other ones you can use as we have up there is, does that sound right? Shouldn't it? Right? Like, shouldn't this make sense to you? Shouldn't you agree to this? Do
Yeah.
you agree? Do you agree with what I'm saying right now? Like, Gigi's agreeing with what I'm saying, and she just keeps saying, yeah, right? So we're naturally getting her in the mode to just say yes. Does that make sense? How does that sound? Isn't it? Isn't it what?
All right. Those are like simple examples of tie downs that you can use in your real estate conversations. And I think this should be like, whether you have a presentation, buyer or seller presentation or not, offer whatever, in any type of conversation, this is where you should, like, you know, any type of value proposition you have with anyone discussing real estate, it should be linked to a tie down to a certain degree. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Do you got any tie downs you want to throw out there, man? I didn't put a lot of them up here, but
No, most of these I use as well. Do you know what I mean? Is really, and does that sound right? It's usually the ones I use the most. Or how does that sound as well? Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
These are the ones that I think the most typical, the most easiest ones to use. Again, to really engage with your buyers and sellers, and even folks you're speaking to, just to make sure that what you're addressing is making sense to them. So
Yeah. So you can use tie downs with all those sensory. I wanted to add, and this is based on Coach Michael Burt. and we all had a little bit of brush with Coach Michael Bird's training. He likes to use the sensory tie downs. I don't know if he calls them tie downs, like how, like this and that, like how does it feel to you, and so on and so forth, and using stuff with even visualizing things and using those sentences to tie down and just bring the consumer back into the conversation or more in agreement.
Yeah. No, it's true. This is the last article. So
Yeah,
let's do
I think
this.
we went quickly. Yeah.
We skipped.
skipped a lot. Yeah.
I hit the arrow to go next, and I don't know why I went
Yeah.
to the last slide. But
Yeah.
so don't make assumptions. All right. Don't just assume that they understand what you're going through. Instead of moving forward on with an assumption, whether you're in a listing appointment or buyer's presentation, use a sales tie down to double check your assumptions. For instance, you can make a statement, and then rather than continuing with your presentation, take a deep breath and ask, does that make sense? This question allows the prospect to breathe, reflect, and let you double check how your presentation is landing. If needed, you can take the time to explain something that didn't land and uncover information about where your prospect's attention is. And I think that's crucial there, right? Because if we are going through a presentation and you're asking them, hey, does that make sense? And their response is, you know what? I didn't really understand what you meant by the absorption rate. Like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah.
Right? Or, hey, you know what? I really didn't understand when you were going over the commission. Can you break that down for me? Right?
Right.
A lot of us would go, they asked about my commission.
Or even sometimes it will allow you to go a little bit deeper, because you may have the very amicable buyer or seller that would say yes to anything, but it doesn't mean yes. And I think it would be like a great way of maybe using a deeper tie down, and that's not going to be necessarily a yes, because some people are just pleasing and they just say yes to anything, but in the end they're not on board. So I guess, again, taking the temperature, like really listening to the person in front of you, and taking a step back and making sure they fully understand. And that's something that doesn't come naturally, and we really have to pay more attention, be intentional, and
Right.
Israel is going to agree with me. Use a freaking script. Use a script as a safety net, as that anchor thing that's going to help you actually not only like close that transaction. Use a script. Don't just freestyle it. Never.
As we've been saying so far in the last few minutes, is that once you're in conversation with someone, you obviously should know or should understand exactly when to use these tie downs as well. And that's something we're not saying yet. Sometimes when you're speaking to somebody, you have this glass eye situation, right? And that's a great moment, a great technique or body language right there, in a sense of saying, you know what, I need to make sure that they understand what I'm talking about, right? Does this make sense to you? Is this the kind of results you're looking for? Does that sound right to you? You just want to certainly make sure that as you're speaking to them, that they're not looking past you. They're just actually listening to you. And that's a great way of an assumption, because some of us just want to keep talking and talking and talking and talking. But the problem is that, it's just like the little kid thing to say. It goes in one ear and comes out the other. You certainly want that one thing to stay in there instead of just going out the other way. And by using these kind of tie downs, it's just really, again, as it says here, it's to really break down that paragraph, break down that sentence, break down those couple of words, so that you could fully feel exactly what you want to say, or whatever the message.
And then I don't know if
when
one of the references we have, I think one of those articles I don't even remember if we used it, was the first sentence they use in the article is like, only 3% of people trust salespeople. And it's like, oh. So we're already being seen with this bad rep of trying to coerce people into buying our stuff, So we need to break that cycle and really look professional, and not just be trying to sell something by talking so fast and confusing people, and and like, here, sign, you don't know what the hell you're signing, but I was like, okay, I'll do it, you can get away from me. So let's stop that
Listen,
vicious cycle and just be a lot more professional and bring value. That's
Yeah.
all it
what
is, you know. Have
what you
people
guys
trust you. Yeah.
what you guys just said there just triggered, and I remember hearing this quote, and in my opinion, it's a golden chicken nugget, right? Because right here, it really comes down to this: people do not want to be sold; they want the opportunity to purchase.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
they don't want you to try to ram product down their throat. They want to feel like they're starving and need the product, right? How many of us attend open houses now in the market? We show up right before the open house starts, and there's a line of 10, 15 people out the door waiting to go in. What do you think is actually going on everybody's mind? Oh my God, like if this is the place, I need to make an offer, right?
Yeah.
These other people are going to make an offer. So what does that mean? Once they get inside and they see other people surrounding the same exact property, they don't want someone else to win the bidding war. They want to win the bidding war. So with that, they start to push themselves to try to go ahead and take advantage and try to buy this product and outbeat everyone. That's the feeling that we all go through, right? I feel like it's human nature. We need to be number one.
Yeah.
But if you show up to an open house and it's 30 minutes after the open house time and you're the only one there, chances are you're not going to feel enticed to buy the property, no matter how good the agent takes you through the property. If it's not the one, it's not the one. No one else was there.
Right.
Hence, I don't need to be in a rush to buy this place.
Right.
You know?
Correct.
There is no value. Right. So yeah, I mean, as a real estate agent, you want to establish that nice bond, that trust factor, so you can go on with your presentation, you can go on with your point, you can go on with your negotiation. You know, and it's like, okay, you know, that person makes sense. Let me have a listen a little bit deeper. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So response to nonverbal cues or tones. So this is what
Ooh.
we're talking about. You have to pay close attention to what's going on, right? Like Israel mentioned
Absolutely.
before. Not only does the client or customer potentially get the glazing of the eyes, but how many of us are going through a presentation and then the minute we stop and the buyer or the seller is talking back to us, we're doing the same exact thing. We're not even processing what they're saying. We're not even
Right.
paying attention. Why? Because we're so focused on getting the next word out. We're not really paying attention to what they're saying. And that's where we can potentially drop the ball. If we're not paying attention to what the buyer or the seller is telling us, those are where the value points lie. They're hidden, they're in between the lines. All right. So you
Yeah.
need to take these words out of context and pay attention. So it can be really easy to glaze over a slight head nod or an approved or oh from a customer. Instead of moving forward without responding to that appreciation, use a sales tie down to react. For instance, if you're at a
Mm-hmm.
property showing and you point out a feature to the buyers and they raise their eyebrows excitedly, you could say something like, is that something you could use? Or pretty cool, right?
Right.
Like I remember going through a property and they had an outlet that was in the bathroom. It was an electrical outlet, but it was a little square, right? You had to press it and the whole box came out and you could plug in any electronics to it. That was awesome,
Right.
right? The buyer looked over at his spouse and was like, "Oh my God, do you see this outlet?" What does that mean? They're now taking interest. So now you can focus on these little things. Now you can bring it to their
Or
attention.
you can turn the negative into a positive, like you're coming into a I've seen like where you have a listing and they're building an illegal bathroom in the front of a house in an illegal room so they can have more stuff, and it's like, okay, I mean, you know, and you losing, I mean, I've seen this room was like in the middle of the living room, no light, no nothing. um and you're like, okay, you know, like people are like, oh my god, this is so dark, oh my goodness, why did they build this? So you need to just, you know, with their body language, with their thing, it's like, but hold on, let's take a look at the floor plan. You know, obviously if you have a floor plan, that would be nice, and bring a couple of ideas of stuff that you may have seen at other houses, or things that here you have, hence the price of the property is much cheaper. obviously because of this. So yes, let's face the fact, we know there might be some issue there, but silver lining is now we can build something we really want. You guys mentioned you wanted to just open up the kitchen to the living room and have a nice flow. Just turn the situation around and make them visualize what could be, instead of the dark and gloomy room they face with the freaking illegal bathroom that is barely holding on. That could be removed. It's no big deal. And yes, just like those cues, like the wives usually are very more expressive than the husbands, so it's nice to cue onto that. So just here, look at your consumer, look at your customer, your client, and just stay in tune with them. Just don't go like, look at this whole house is falling apart, isn't that wonderful? No, like, be real. Find some solutions. Yes, obviously we have a problem, but it's not the end of the world. This is what you could do instead. Yeah.
I agree with you on that. And you gotta acknowledge that if they're excited about something, focus on it, hone in on it,
Oh yeah.
right? Because something else might come up later. And to Gigi's point, if it's on a negative, if it's, for example, right, if they said they wanted 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in the house, and then they send you a property that they're interested in that has less than that, they have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and they're like, oh, I want to go see it, right? Now you can bring it to their attention. Hey, when we had the discussion, you told me you wanted or needed a minimum of 3 bedroom, 2 bath. This one only has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Yeah.
Are you
What
sure this is
keeps
something
your
that you would be
attention for
interested in?
this? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was interesting for you to really wanna look at it instead, like we're getting off our path a little bit. What, like, again, asking questions, no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So that also gives you the opportunity to get re-engaged, right? And this is back to what Israel was mentioned before. And I'm a firm believer about this. Whenever you use tie downs, I feel that it refreshes the clock, right? Because they say the average human attention span lasts about 10 minutes.
And I don't
think it's
agree
less.
with that. It's even less.
I think it's less.
It's much
All
less.
right. I think it's like 5 seconds, right? Now
It's
that
like
we live in a day
a
and
little bit
age.
more than an amoeba, but yeah. Yeah.
Listen, this is the easiest way to look at it. Social media creates, like Instagram, you have Reels, YouTube Shorts, you got Facebook Stories, right? It's almost like 15 seconds. You have 15 seconds to engage with the client, right?
Yeah.
Now, clearly, if you're going through a presentation, it might be a little longer, but
It's
10
couple
minutes,
of
I think it's
minutes.
a little,
I think,
yeah,
10.
you know what I mean? But that means, depending on how long your sales pitch is, you're probably pushing past the limits of what most prospects can commit to. Take many breaks within your pitch to ask sales tie downs and re-engage your audience, right? For example, you could say, I know I've shared a ton of information. Does it all make sense? Right? Is there anything you'd like me to go over again? Right? And then take a break. And when you ask these questions, this is another thing we were referring to, was tonality. When you ask these questions, you have to be assertive in your questions. Don't tell them, I know I shared a lot of information. Does that all make sense? Right? That sounds like uncertainty. You need to be firm so that when you ask the question, they answer. They feel like they have to answer, right? Is there anything you'd like me to go over again?
Right.
This is your moment of time for me to say, you know what? Hey, this didn't make sense to me. Can you go over your commission breakdown one more time? Right?
Yeah,
Gives them a
usually
chance
that's the
to
one.
come
Yeah.
back to the conversation, and it could take a break from the presentation.
And sometimes you need to take a break, just shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up for a second. Let
Yeah,
them
tell Alex.
absorb. And I think that will also throw them off a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like
No,
you ask them and just don't say anything.
It is.
Just look at
It is
them.
a way to take, and it gives us the opportunity to take a break again. Ideally,
Absolutely.
you want to keep them involved. If you feel at any given time through your presentation that you're the only one talking, use a tie down.
Yeah.
Use a tie down, get them involved, get them to answer questions that you may have, get them to get more involved. The more you include them in the presentation, the more attention they're going to give you.
Right.
Right. And that's actually, I mean, again, folks, we're using the word tie down a lot, and I fully understand. And for those who are listening, you got to fully understand it this way. Think of a teacher when they're teaching something to you. At a certain point, they're going to ask, does anybody have any questions? They're going to ask some certain tied down words. They're going to make sure that the students are actually listening. Parents are doing the same thing. You know, they're going to say, or either if it's going to be an argument or something that they're going to like tell you, they're going to be like, do you know what I mean? Right? These are things that they're doing because they're making sure that you are engaged and listening to them. Right. But now to understand something, and I just want to reiterate something that Ed said as far as toning. When your tone is high and low, remember the one thing that needs to be added to that is this. You know, besides of you not having to have the true confidence, the lower you are, and if you sound like, again, just Barry White, you know, you're way too low. But be natural, be direct.
All right.
Be to the point that you're trying to get your point across as best as possible.
And I think we
because
also,
it's actually
slow down on the velocity of the you know, how many words per second you're coming out. And it's because
exactly.
we think
That's
we want
very
to say
important.
so much, we have so little time. Just slow it down, I think. To me, it always was a problem. It's like I could just ramble, blah, 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 and nobody would understand because the French accent would take over, and it's like, what? So just no, and it's true. Just slow down. You know, like go a little bit. What if you think it's slow? Sometimes it's not even slow enough. That's
don't go
what
too
I
slow
learned.
either, because that's
No,
another way
of
too.
course not.
That's a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're too slow, you know, they're going to want you to finish and land the plane.
But again, you get the physical clues from your client. You know, if they're looking
body
at you
language,
like
that's all it
you're
is.
an idiot, it's like, what? What is this?
At the end of the day, I believe that you, again, have to be aware of the type of personalities that are out there. You have to be aware of the personality you are. And then you have to pay attention as best as you can to the personality of the person you're having this conversation or presenting to.
Yeah.
So let me
ahead,
ask you a question. And so I'm listening to you guys. If they don't re-engage with you, if they say, no, how many times do you feel like you need to repeat yourself to them to the point of, you know what, they're never going to get it?
Well, so you're referring to like passing information, like if I'm giving you information and then I'm saying, does this make sense? And your response is no.
Yeah.
Okay. So great. I love it. So if I'm going through a presentation, I go, does this all make sense to you?
No.
Okay. What doesn't make sense? I'd be happy to go over it. Right? What is it about the information that I'm giving you doesn't make sense? Because to your point, what we're trying to do is figure out what it is. Because does this make sense is kind of broad. And if your only response is no, then I'm going to hit you with another question. Okay, no big deal. Help me understand where it doesn't make sense. Where did I lose you in this presentation? Right?
Exactly. Right.
Like, what was it that didn't stick? What do you need me to do to break down better, right? Like, because that's the key. I know that when we get to the end and we're trying to get them to close and they say, I got to think about it, 9 times out of 10, we're going to say, okay, well, think about it and I'll get back to you. When the proper response should be like, great, I agree. I think you should think about it. But while I'm here, 3 heads are better than 2. What is it that you need to think about? Maybe I can clarify it a little better. Right? What is it that you feel doesn't make sense?
Right. And usually it's our fault. And usually I'm gonna break it down, and some of you listeners are not gonna like it. Usually it is our fault. It is our fault because our pre-qualifying conversation was not good enough. We did not ask the right questions when we were pre-qualifying to that meeting with the people, whether it's a buyer or a seller. So it's really that we also there are so many different layers, that we have to work on. It's, not only knowing our scripts, but knowing our pre-qualifying questions, knowing the personality of the person we're dealing with, understanding our personality, making sure we ask the right question in the right time, making sure we keep everybody engaged, be able to tie everything back, get ready for the presentation. And then at that point, you're not going to have to go back to those pre-qual questions that would be probably even stalling you in your process, whether it's an offer, listing presentation, signing a buyer agreement, so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I would put everything back to, if you're coming to a stall and the person is really not responsive, it's on you, man. It's on you, the agent. It's not the
There you go.
client.
Yeah.
You've done a crappy job. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, and if you guys are just tuning in, again, just understand we're talking about tie downs, but this isn't the only tool that's going to help you lock in a deal. There's multiple tools that you would
Right.
have to use
Yeah.
to get them to agree.
Yeah, and
Right?
you don't
This is
want to
just
have
one.
tie down diarrhea either. I mean, we're going to go on to that.
Oh yeah,
So
you're gonna
cheesy.
see
I'm
that
so
also.
sorry.
We're about to get to that next, I'm sure.
Yeah. So reiterate something they've already told you, right? So to that point, nothing builds trust like letting someone know that you're listening to them.
Yeah.
All right. Because again, remember, we don't want our eyes to glaze over when they're giving us valuable information. We're so focused on giving them everything we put together, right? Like I put this entire CMA report together for you. I need to get through this presentation. Understand that you shouldn't treat it like a sales pitch. You should treat it more like we're sitting down, having a conversation. I'm getting
That's
to
why
know you, you're getting to know me, and this is what I have put together for you. So, and it's funny, and I'll tell you guys a short story. I remember that before real estate, I used to sell business to business supplies, right? And I met with a potential client in a diner. We sat down, older gentleman, and this taught me a lesson because I sat there and my initial approach is I'm pulling out my laptop. I got a presentation I got to go through, and here it is. And this man orders coffee, and he asked me if I want some coffee, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. The
Oh,
lady leaves, and I'm like, oh, hey, listen, and then I'm trying to go through the presentation, and he literally stopped me and was like, do you mind if we can get some food and coffee before we jump into this?
exactly. Yeah.
And I was taken back. I was
Yeah.
like, what do you, I mean, I thought this is what we were here for, you know what I mean? But okay, and I listened to his approach, and it taught me something that day because I closed my laptop, put it to the side. The lady came back and he's like, you sure you don't want anything? And I was like, you know what? I'll take a coffee. I'll take a coffee. And then he ordered some food. I was like, no, I'm okay on the food. It's no big deal. I ate before I got here. And long story short, as he finished eating, he's like, all right, so what were you going to tell me? And I was like, well, I was just here for this account. We were here to get you set up. And he was like, okay. He agreed to it. We didn't even talk about business. We
But
were just sitting there.
before selling real estate, I sold some art. And the whole process, even though very similar, the approach is completely different and is based on a lot of social, like social meetings and who knows what and stuff like that. And therefore, the presentation is never a presentation. It's all about, how the person you're going to try to sell something to, like a piece of art or whatever collection, they're gonna have to be comfortable. They need to get to know you. They need to get to so they want to make sure you know the history of the person that is selling the collection or their painting or the artist. They need to feel like a whole connection. So it's a lot of getting to know the person on a very, very like intimate level almost. There is no sales pitch like you would have. It would be considered cheesy. You want to do
Yeah.
that? Go to the New York Art Expo and 5 paintings for $2. Do that. But if you're going to be behind it, it does not happen like this. You're going to have
Yeah.
to understand, the lifestyle of the person, what interests them. Okay, they have discounts. Some people have, you cannot even go with what you think, just as we do in real estate, and just like listen to the person, get to know them, get to know their interest, why they might be interested in it's like a lot of it's never a presentation that is set like we're doing in real estate. And again, they are conversation. And I do like the Mike Ferry approach because he's always talking about having real estate conversations and this is what we should be having. And things should flow naturally. The help of those scripts are very important because once you know those scripts, you can sound natural. You should be able to get more in tune with the person. You should be adding those tie down cues and so on and so forth on top of the rest. on top of listening, on top of the body language, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my little
No, it's
take.
bless you. No, it's good because look, at the end of the day, and I like the fact that you continue to mention the scripts because quite frankly, folks, if you're an agent that's sitting in the office and you get a call and they're asking to look at a property in the next hour, okay, you should be going through the qualification script with these people. 100%. Like, that's my opinion. You should be going through the qualification script because once you go through these home buyer qualification script or even a home seller qualification script, it's going to give you the opportunity to ask questions that you can use as ammunition later on when you meet with them face to face, right? So as the slide says, it's a great way to build rapport and use sales tie downs with your prospects
Right.
to reiterate something that they said in the past and relate it to the current conversation, right? So if you're at a listing appointment and the seller had meant, and prior to you were on the call, you went through the qualifier script and you uncovered that they need to move to another state within the next 3 months or 6 months, okay, because of job purposes, they're relocating and they don't have much time, right? Now you can use that when you meet with them in the presentation when they tell you, hey, I got to think about this. Really, what is it that you have to think about? Because I know you mentioned you only have 3 months to get to the next destination, right? How
Crunch
how
time, yeah.
helpful would it be if I can connect you to one of my associates in that state that can potentially help you look for the right property while we're going through the process of getting your home prepped and ready for sale? Do you find that, or would you find that to be of value, right? You said you had to go in the next 3 months. Why are we waiting? You don't have enough time, right? You said that. So I'm reiterating what you said,
Yeah.
right? But if we don't go through these
So
qualification scripts and we're not asking these questions, we're not going to get these answers and not be able to use it
that's
as
absolutely right.
ammunition later on. Go ahead, is my bad.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say so later, but I apologize. No, that's actually really good. You just did that too, and I actually use the same thing too. Trying to remember part of my scripts towards the end, especially when they're saying, "Oh, I need to be thinking about that," so forth. But something I use is you do need to be in Florida, by March, right? Don't you? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You say you need to be in Florida in April. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And these
You
are
go
like a
back
short
to
way
it. Yeah.
again to making
And
sure, like
then,
you say, you need to be in this place here by this time, right? Don't you? Is that correct?
Yes.
And one of those also other ones. Oh my God, it's taking me back right now. One of my other ones is let's see. You don't you don't want to get your family into a bigger home, right? Don't you? It's like one of those. You want your cash out, don't you? It's like you really want to emphasize these are the things you said, right? So let's make sure of
Yeah.
it.
right.
Why are we thinking about it? Let's just get
Right.
it going.
Hence the
And it
importance
goes
of
for
that
right.
pre-qualifying that you can bring back and during your presentations, and again, you have listened to all, you ask the right question, you have listened, you can bring it back, you can tie it down. It's just those techniques to make sure you're in tune with your consumers need. That's it. To me,
Yeah.
that's it. It's very
So and
simple.
then and we're speaking about listings. I mean, let's just go to buyers real quick. Honestly, I know we're always like to work with listings, but again, buyers, you're always saying that I want a 2 bedrooms, and all of a sudden you find them a 2 bedroom. Oh, this is not the right one. But you did say that this is what you want, don't you? You
Right.
did say that you wanted to be in a certain area, didn't you?
Right.
Isn't that what you really want? You want to make sure that these are the things that you obviously, after qualifying them, you said you want to spend 150. I got you. This is 150. Let's move forward. So I don't. I like this part because I want to make sure that these people understand. Right? They want to understand. You got what you have to say.
No,
So
listen, it takes and through the experience, it takes a lot of patience. Okay. It takes a lot of patience to deal with a co-op. It takes a lot of patience to deal with a buyer. So understand that you should be going through these questions with these individuals, because again, it's value to you, it's value to them, and they don't know it. This is their first, if this is their first time purchasing a home, they don't know what they're looking for unless you sit there and ask this question and have this conversation with them, right? It's like your business, right? If you're somebody who's just kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm doing real estate, but you're really not keeping tabs on your business, you're really not keeping track of your business, you're kind of just shooting in the wind and hope it hits something.
Exactly.
Right? That's what we're
with
doing.
more intention, and that's what we're all trying to bring back to you guys and tie down. Like, this is like very, very paramount. Like, especially this year, we're seeing it's very uncertain business. I've seen some agents thriving because they do things by design, and I'm seeing a lot of agents who were so lucky during pandemic with the rush of people wanting to purchase or sell real estate, and now they don't know what to do. They're like at a loss. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I was one of the ones that was not killing it during the pandemic. Right?
Oh.
Like, I heard people like, I'm killing it. And I'm like, damn, like, what am I doing wrong? And why am I not
doing
killing
wrong?
it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then we fast forward into what's going on now. And again, it's not so much that I just started killing it yesterday. It's that I've been chipping away, working at it, crafting it, going and understanding that, hey, it's a process, right? And then to now fast forward and in my opinion, I'm like, yo, I'm really making it happen this time of the year where it's uncertain, where people are saying, man, where are you getting business from? No, like, it's coming, man. And I've been working on this for some time. It's not that it happened overnight, but it's just to your point. Hey, it can happen at any given time. It's just the opportunities that are out there, and you have a decision to make it happen, right? So to kind of bring it all back together, understand that if you're dealing with the customer and you're able to point out these things that they had mentioned, reiterate what they were looking for, they're going to remember that. That pleases them. That makes them feel good because, holy cow, this person is paying attention. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Israel, you are right. I am looking for a 2-bedroom, right? What if it's, I'm looking for the 2-bedroom, I'm looking in the area, and then you uncover, hey, you know what? I just wasn't trying to pay that price. Okay, so then now we're getting to it, right? Yeah. So you can't tell me, like, if I found you the perfect place and you said this is what you wanted and you tell me no, understand that I'm going to probe before it and say, why is it a no if this is what you said you wanted? Because somewhere in that package, something is not working in your favor. And chances are it could be the price, right? Oh, I wasn't looking to pay a premium package, right? I see that they want $250,000, but I saw this other apartment for less than 200 and it was a 2-bedroom. Yeah, but what was the location, right? Like, you can't compare a prime location to the suburbs outside of that area location, right? Like, we got to bring things together and educate our clients as we go through that.
I think we might have skipped a couple of slides just from our conversation. Yeah, I think we did, right?
No, I mean, I think we're pretty good. We're falling on track. So responding to buyers' questions, if a customer asks you a buying question, right, and this is good, answer that question and be sure to include a sales tie down. If they ask you, for instance, how much should I offer on this home, right? How many of us automatically just say, hey, well, whatever you want to offer. I mean, it's just, whatever you're comfortable with. No, put it out there, right? I remember there was an agent with our office that she did not hesitate to tell these people, you should offer ask. And if that doesn't fit or if that doesn't work in your budget, you should offer close to asking. How many of us would actually say that to a customer or a client, right? Client, you might want to put some comps together and then let them know, hey, this is what the average price point is for this area, for this type of house. But if it's a customer, right, what are you going to do, right? Don't be scared about it. You should tell them, hey, look, we should offer the ask and pay attention to their reactions. Remember what we said before. Right. Some of their reactions might be nonverbal. If you see them open their eyes and kind of take a step back and they're like, offer ask, okay. Well, if that doesn't work for you, you should offer something close to asking. Right. And gauge them, see where they feel. If at the end of the day, the asking price doesn't work, close to ask price doesn't work, then ask them, put it back on them. well, what are you comfortable with making an offer, right? If you were to make an offer, where would you be comfortable making an offer? Get that number. You know what's another thing you can do? Dig a little deeper, right? Hey, what are you comfortable, Israel? What are you making comfortable at an offer at, right? Throw a number out. You're on mute, brother.
Sorry, I just realized I was on mute.
That's okay.
400,000.
400,000. Okay. Would you say that's your best? Like that's the best price? Like, hey, Ed, I'm not going over 400,000, or are you still open to offering a little more?
I'm offered to a little more. That's it.
Right? A little more. If $400,000 doesn't work, Israel, what would you say the little more would be? What would be your max?
Another
Like,
10.
you know what? Like, if you were to tell me,
410.
Ed, 410, cool.
410.
Right?
Let's write it up.
Right? Now here's the other kicker, right? How many of us deal with listings where they're paying the buyer's commission -1%?
What do you mean negative? They don't pay the buyer's commission?
The joke is that they're paying something that you feel is less than what it should be.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So now if Israel said 410, and clearly it all depends on what's going on in the market, but if there's not a lot of competition, if a property's been on the market for some time, I know Israel's willing to pay 410. How can I now use this as not to my advantage, but now as a negotiation skill? Is, hey, he's willing to offer 400, and if it's within reason, I can have that conversation with the seller's agent, right? Like, hey, Gigi, I got an offer for you. I'm coming in at 400K. You think we can make this happen?
Yes.
Yes
no.
or no?
I mean, yeah,
yes?
We probably need a little bit
We'll think
more.
about it. Well, I'm just letting you know, Gigi.
Yeah.
I know you're paying 1%. However, my offer's coming in with a 2% commission paid out to the buyer's agent.
Show it to me. Show me your best,
right?
Your best and highest. Let's see how we can talk to the seller. And I've done that so many times. I mean, I give out nice commission to the agents, and I've seen people wanting some more. And I've had other listing agents telling me, "Aren't you mad that they're going to be making more money than you?" No, I'm actually pretty happy for them. They already have prepped their buyer. They have they're building a little bit of an extra commission. If everybody agrees on it, why not? I don't see a problem.
Exactly.
But again, preparation, pre-qualification, making sure when you're talking about buyers, you set them up for expectations and they know they should bring an offer. I would never, a few times I would work with the buyer. I'm not going out if they're not telling me, oh, today we're just going to look. No, we're not just looking. I did all the search. I found you exactly what you're looking for, which is available right now. We're going to go out. We're coming out with offers. End of story.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm going to set the expectations right there. Let's move on. We're getting close to the hour right there.
So as you guys mentioned before, pitfalls of the sales tie down, right? I think, Gigi, you had said it where you don't want to be overkill with the tie downs. Okay, so a few things to avoid using them too much. All right. Don't OD.
Yeah, that's important.
So not every sentence should have a tie down. It's way too much. It's like gauge, have a conversation, and see when they're starting look for clues. Look for like physical and whatever, like what you call the body language. I know eyes shifting, anything. People looking at one another, like just pay attention.
Yeah. Try not to sound too pushy. If you wouldn't use a specific tie down with your family, you see how they tie this back? You have to take it out of your head and put it back into your heart because, again, remember, you're dealing with people. Yes, I know we're selling real estate, but who's selling it? People. And people aren't going to do business with you if they don't like you. So don't be too pushy.
Exactly.
Don't be what they refer to as the car salesman, okay? That's not what we're trying to do. So you don't use specific tie downs that you wouldn't use with your family. Don't say it to your prospects. Pay attention to their tone, like Israel said before, right? And you don't want to sound threatening or argumentative, all right?
Argumentative,
Argumentative. Excuse my English. I was born here and I still have a hard time. You know what I mean? Right?
Good.
But that's what you want to pay attention to. So be aware. Don't just be that person that's consistently asking tie down questions, right? Don't just, and what's that word? Is it parrot statements? Don't just parrot statements back to
Don't
your
just
prospect,
parrot.
Oh,
right?
just repeat, but yeah, like verbatim, like an idiot. Yeah, just
Sometimes in the Mike Ferry script, right? Like when it says reiterate what they just said. So if you're like, oh, hey, what do you plan on moving? Yes. Okay, so you do plan on moving. Where do you plan on moving to? Florida. Oh, you're trying to go to Florida. It's a little too much. Like you just all right.
That's not how to use that
Right?
script like that.
I
That's how
know,
it's
but
used.
some
Sure.
people read
Close.
it that way. Some people
Close.
read it that way.
Close.
Some people are like, oh, you don't want to deal with an agent? Perfect.
Perfect.
No,
Fantastic. Let me ask you. So you don't want to leave? You don't want to work with an agent? I know.
So you're not looking to sell your property. Okay, great. Like, no, now you sound robotic, right? So yeah, you want to show them that you were listening and engaged, just like you want them to be.
Yeah.
All right. And sales tie downs help close deals. Use sales tie downs as a listening tool, rather than a
part
way
of a
to.
whole. Yes.
Yeah, so don't regurgitate the information. The more you understand your customers, what they care about, and where you stand with them, the better, right? And this is basically the end of it. So these were some articles that we took this information from. If you want copies of the slides, reach out to Gigi, Israel, myself. We'll be more than happy to send it to you guys. But all of this kind of reminds me of what Benjamin Franklin had said.
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
And he has a quote. And here's the golden nugget that Benjamin Franklin has given us. So it goes like this: tell me, and I'll forget. Teach me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will learn. Right?
Yep.
So we don't want to sit there and try to sell them on the idea where we talk them into it and talk them out of it. And if we use the sales tie downs, we'll start to involve them into the presentation. We'll get them engaged. We'll start picking their brain. What are your thoughts, right? Because the minute they do that, they feel like they're a part of something, and now they're going to learn about the traits. And again, we don't want to just be real estate agents. We want to be real estate advisors.
Yes. Consultants,
right.
even though, we're salesperson, but we advise people. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right.
So that's our presentation.
Ed, fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, we really got our back today, because I felt like I was slacking. We got so busy this week. I was like, oh my God, I didn't prep as much. But Ed, you're the MVP. We're going to give it to another one of our viewers, but you're the MVP. Thank you. Wow, this was great.
Good job.
And the MVP award goes to this week to Ashok. And you go.
Ashok, thank you for tuning in, brother. There's a lot of other folks tuning in from Real Estate Unwrapped. Gigi, your profile we had somebody from your profile too, man. And Gigi's YouTube channel. Gigi, you're famous.
No, not at all. I'd like to thank, I think our group grew, Real Estate Unwrapped grew pretty nicely. We're getting close to 230 members, and we just started putting that thing together as a group. And thank you guys so much for just like being interested in what we have to share with one another. Don't hesitate to participate. I know it's scary. You're gonna be like live. You might be live. You might show your face. You might not like the way you sound. We know, but. The more you participate, the more you get involved. Just like Ben Franklin said, the more you get to understand and learn. So let's get more involved with each other's business and try to get that needle move forward, so we can all excel in that wonderful craft of real estate. It is great.
I love it. And remember, as Gigi said, Israel said too, follow us on Facebook. We're at Real Estate Unwrapped. All right. We're also on Instagram.
Everything is recorded forever. You'll get it on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn. We're pretty much all over now, guys. So you can't say you did not see us.
Yeah. And stop asking me if we're still doing another live next week, because the answer to your question will forever be yes. Every Friday from 11 a.m. on, we will be here going live, throwing out topics and ideas, and we want all of you to engage. So ask questions. Don't be shy. Maybe you don't like the way you sound, but I like the way you sound.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, weekend
All right.
open house, right?
Oh,
I
weekend
hope you
open
guys
house.
are gonna be
Yeah.
Right.
busy.
I'm
Yes,
in
I am.
London Forest
I
Hills.
am. I am. Yes, 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 yes.
I'm in East Elmhurst on Saturday, and I'll be all over the island because I'm an
Oh, good.
island boy on
Oh
Sunday.
boy.
All right, guys. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Let's talk again next week.
Peace out,
All right.
everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Feed those ducks. Feeding the ducks. Feed